If I could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes in my entire collection, what would they be? This is gonna be a hard one. What's up y'all, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video. So we're gonna do the hypothetical if you could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes in your entire collection video. I've seen this floating around YouTube, I've seen other creators doing it, and I kind of wanted to jump on the train. I thought it would be fun. So I dug through my collection, and I'm not gonna lie, this was hard. The first handful of palettes kind of came easy to me. They were no-brainers, but then I sat back and really kind of hemmed and hawed over what I would keep, because if I just kept my absolute 10 favorite palettes from my collection, I would have a lot of gaps and a lot of holes, and I didn't want to do that. I kind of took a deep breath, sat back, reflected, and thought, okay, realistically, if you only had 10 eyeshadow palettes that you could use for the rest of your life, which I hope never happens, what would they be? And so I've pulled them all out. I've given them a lot of thought. This took me absolutely forever, and I have them. So we're gonna go over them together. I'm gonna showcase which ones they are, and as usual, I will link and list everything that is still available down below. I think only maybe a couple of these are no longer available, but anything that I can link will be listed down below, as well as everything that I am wearing on my face today. I did film this video, and it will be coming up very soon here on YouTube as a short and over on Instagram as a reel. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, y'all, let's dive into this. I have all 10 eyeshadow palettes sitting right here in front of me, and I'm feeling pretty good about my choices. It took me a while to come down to these 10. I've kind of been working on this for a few days because I picked out all 10 and then I would sleep on it and kind of come back to it in the morning, and some of these kind of stayed and some of these kind of switched out. But as of this moment, these are the 10 eyeshadow palettes that I would pick to keep in my collection. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to start with the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude eyeshadow palette. Now, everybody needs a good nude eyeshadow palette. I think it's a staple in everybody's collection. Even if you're not a fan of neutral eyeshadow palettes, I guarantee you everybody has at least one in their palette that can, or in their collection, that can be considered a neutral eyeshadow palette. And this is the one that I would pick. And this was really hard. I have several of them in. Y'all. My eyeshadow fell out. What? It's because I called her basic. She didn't like that. No, and it just broke in two, y'all. It broke in two. Hang on, I gotta see if I can put this back in here. Oh, I've never had that happen before with a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. Okay, hold on. All right, you guys, I kind of smushed her back in there, but she fell into my lap and then broke into two. I've never had that happen. I've never had a Natasha Denona eyeshadow just fall out, like out of the pan. It wasn't even the pan that fell out because these are magnetic. But okay, anyways, I love this palette and that really hurts, and that's one of my favorite shades. It's absolutely beautiful. But yeah, this is one of the 10 eyeshadow palettes that I would keep in my collection. I love it. It's beautiful. The matte formula is so good. I love Natasha Denona's formula. She does have a few palettes that are kind of a little on the mist side, but usually for me that's more Color Story, and it's a lot of like her mini palettes. I find those to be kind of hit or miss as far as the formula goes, but this one is beautiful. The shimmers in here are beautiful. It would just give me a good, quick, easy, everyday look. It only has one deepening up shade in here, but that's okay. Once you see the other palettes that I've picked, it's not a big deal. I can definitely pull some other colors from other palettes, but I love this formula, and this is one that I just think if you're gonna go for at least one good nude basic, don't listen, basic eyeshadow palette in your collection, this one's gorgeous. I also really like her glam palette as well, but for me this one is just a little bit more of what I was going for me personally. Up next is my absolute favorite eyeshadow palette in my entire collection. I love this one. I've talked about it in my collection video. I've talked about it in other videos as well, but it is the Fall Magic palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. Y'all, I don't know what it is, but this palette has a chokehold on me. It has had one since it came out, and I absolutely love it. I had another, this is not my original one that I had another one, and I dropped it and busted it, and I was so upset. And then I think it was last summer, the owner of Unearthly had posted that she had like a handful of these in stock, so I snatched it up immediately because I love this palette. The tones in here are gorgeous. This palette gets so much use in the fall. The shimmers in here are not like the best quality from Unearthly, but they're still beautiful on the lid. Sometimes I just want a good shimmer. I don't need everything to be shifty and overly sparkly and just have all these reflex to it. Sometimes just a basic shimmer is beautiful, but this one up here, which is called Change, is stunning. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous eyeshadow. Let me show you. I'm not going to swatch a whole lot in this, but since this is my favorite eyeshadow palette, let me just show you what that shade looks like. It's gorgeous, and in person it has like this brown to, I don't even know how to describe it, like a brown to a purple flip to it. It's stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I never picked up the remastered version of the Fall Magic palette because I have this one and I just love her and I didn't want her to get jealous, but this palette's gorgeous. It's an absolute favorite of mine. I will love this palette forever and ever and ever, and if I drop this one and shatter it, I don't know what I'm gonna do because they don't make it anymore, you can't get it anymore, and I would be absolutely heartbroken. But I love this palette. It's going nowhere. It will never go anywhere, and it's a no-brainer when it comes to the 10 palettes that I would keep in my collection. This one has to be one of them. Okay, up next is another no-brainer. It's the Ultraviolet palette from Bella Beauty Bar in collaboration with Deandra Nicole. This one came out earlier this year, and if you're new here, hello, I love purple eyeshadow. It's one of my absolute favorites to work with. I have some on my lid today. Purple eyeshadow makes me happy. But this is a monochromatic purple eyeshadow palette. So no brainer, right? It has every tone of purple I could possibly need. We've got cool tones, we've got warm tones, we've got light, we've got depth, we've got darkness, we've got beautiful shimmers in here. I love this palette. I think that the brand and Deandra Nicole did such a beautiful job curating this palette. There's not any like overlapping as far as the colors. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's like the perfect purple eyeshadow palette, and I absolutely love it. I have other ones in my collection, but this one is just a standout, and I have loved it from the minute that they actually unveiled the color story. It's beautiful, and the Bella Beauty Bar formula is stunning. It gets better and better with every single palette. Their shimmers are beautiful as well. This one has lots of shifty shades to it. It's got some different textures, some different formulas, things like that, but I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay, this next one is, I don't know, this one, I kind of went back and forth between this one and another one, but ultimately I landed on this one, and it's the Glamlight X Garfield palette. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, it's a small little warm tone palette. You have those colors in other palettes, and yes, I do, but I'm gonna be honest, these shimmers in here are gorgeous. They're stunning. They're shades that I don't have in other palettes, and in particular, it's this one right here. I believe it's, yep, Teddy Bear. This shade's stunning. If you watched my video of me doing 4 looks with 4 different palettes, this was one of them, and this shade, it looks like fire on the lid. It looks just so beautiful, a little bit of a shift to it, but the reflect is gorgeous. And then this one right here has this really cool like purple gold shift to it. All 4 of the shimmers in here are absolutely beautiful. Yes, I have these warm tones in other palettes, but again, for me, it's the shimmers in this palette. I want to wear this every single day, and when I really started taking a deep dive into this and thinking, okay, what in your collection would you absolutely be heartbroken if you didn't have? And really, it's just this one shade in this palette, but because of that one shade, this one gets to stay. Next is this one from Cosmic Beauty. This is the Muse palette, and this is the first one that I ever picked up from the brand. It came out, I think, this time last year, and I mean, it sold out so quick. People were losing their minds over it, and for a good reason. One, it's very affordable, but two, the color story in here. This is like a grungy garden. It speaks to my soul. These are the tones that I absolutely love. It's very green heavy, but we have these pops of purples and pinks, some dusty shades in here. This one right here is very unique to my collection. I can't think of another palette that I have anything close to it, but the shimmers in here are beautiful. This one down here, which is called Antique, is just so beautiful and shifty on the lid. Muse is another gorgeous one that I love. And then we have this really pretty, like, toppery, ethereal, iridescent shade up here called Luster. It looks gorgeous. You can put this over any of these mattes and it just transforms the entire eyeshadow look. I love this palette. I love the brand. We haven't heard from them this year yet, but I'm excited to see what they have coming. I enjoy every single palette from the brand, but this one is just a standout, not only from the brand, but in my collection as a whole, and I really enjoy this one. Okay, another eyeshadow palette that I think everybody needs to have at least one of in their collection, whether you like to do these kind of looks on their own or use it as a companion palette, but pastels. Pastels are so good for inner corners, blending out, just a good soft look, and I chose the Blend Bunny Sickly Sweet palette. This one's newer to me. I'm still reviewing it, but I absolutely adore it. This one came out last year around Halloween. It was their Halloween release. You can see like the skull in the cotton candy, and it kind of shocked everybody. So I kind of skipped out on it because I finally had the Bella Beauty Bar Pastel Garden palette, but y'all, I shouldn't have, because this one is absolutely amazing. First of all, it's a very pastel heavy palette, but it has unique pastel shades in here. You've got like neon pastels, you've got your basic pastels, you have mid-tone pastels. We have a lot of depth in here. The shimmers are absolutely gorgeous. I love this palette. I'm so sad that I slept on it and didn't pick it up sooner, but yeah, out of all the pastel palettes in my collection, this one is a favorite. It's the one that I would keep if I had to get rid of every single other eyeshadow or other pastel eyeshadow palette, or if I was just going to recommend to you one fantastic pastel palette, this would be the one. The Blend Bunny formula is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I don't know, there's something about the aesthetic, the packaging, everything that Blend Bunny does. They're just always so good. Their releases are amazing, and I love this palette. It is so good. I'm excited to have it and to keep playing with it. I have another one from Blend Bunny. Now this one is, I think, the only other one in this this little stack that is no longer available, and if you have it, hold on to it because it's so unique and so beautiful, and I was so excited whenever this one came out and I picked it up. But it's the Blend Bunny Surge palette. It's gorgeous. It's a rainbow-ish palette, but I'll tell you the reason that I kept this one, because the shimmers in here are not my favorite. They're okay, they're not the best, but the reason that I kept this one is these neons down here. These neons are absolutely gorgeous. We also have some grungier pastels up here, so that kind of fills in any gaps in this palette right here. And then we have these bright mid-tones that really, what's the word that I'm looking for? Complement. Yeah, complement. They really complement these neons down here beautifully. Of course, we have our deep shades here as well. Like I said, the shimmers in here are not the best from the brand, but they are beautiful on the lid. But the quality in here is fantastic. These neon mattes down here are just absolutely beautiful. They're pigmented, they build up nice, they don't fluff out into nothing, and they just stand out. And I feel like I really need to have some neons in my collection. I do have another palette that has some beautiful neons in it, but this one hits every single color, so that's why I chose this one. I absolutely love it. I'm sad that they discontinued it, but there was something about the pigments for these neons that she couldn't get anymore, so she couldn't produce the palette anymore. So if you have it and if you picked it up, hang on to it because it is so good and I absolutely love it. Okay, speaking of rainbow palettes, I did pick one rainbow palette, and this one is another one that's also newer, but it is the Wicked Widow Resurrection palette. I do have a designated video on my channel with this palette, but I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, it's a rainbow palette with a twist. You have your typical rainbow shades, but then you also have like this grungy green, you have this pastel purple, you've got your black, white, and gray, you've got corresponding shimmers in here as well. The pans are nice and big, the formula is fantastic. This shade down here is such a cool black-based multi-chrome with like a purple flip to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, I'm trying to show you the purple on the camera. I think maybe if I do that, you can kind of see it. I don't even know how to, there you go. You can kind of see the purple back there in the mirror, but it's a beautiful palette. I really, really enjoyed it. I love the looks that I made with it, and I love that it has every single rainbow color in here, but it just has that little bit of a twist to it, and I've really enjoyed playing with it. This brand is one of those that has quickly become one of my favorites. They are collabing with The Crow for the 30th anniversary, and I am ridiculously excited about it. They're dropping sneak peeks. We've only had one, but it does come out on May 3rd, and I can't wait for that one. But this palette is amazing, and I would absolutely have to keep this one in my collection. Alright, these last two eyeshadow palettes kind of go hand in hand, and when I was sitting down and really kind of taking a look at everything that I picked out, I'm sure I overthought this quite a bit, but that's me. But whenever I was taking a really good hard look at these 8 palettes right here, I thought, okay, what's missing? What gaps do I need to fill? And I think these 2 eyeshadow palettes would absolutely do it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one from Bella Beauty Bar in collaboration with Ellie Starr and Brittany Huffman. It's the Best Mattes palette. This one came out last summer, and it's a large palette, yes. I almost didn't pick it up, but the more I looked at it, I was like, no, I need that. It's an absolute staple, and I'm glad I did, because it is a all matte palette, and it has just about every single shade you could possibly need in your collection. Now, there are some gaps in here, I will give it that. Between this one and the Blend Bunny, the Mattes palette, I think that would really cover all of your bases. But when I started looking at the palettes that I had sitting here, I had the shades from that Blend Bunny palette in some of these other palettes. So this was the winner. This was the one that I feel like really fills in this gap. This shade right here, it doesn't show it on the monitor, but this is like a highlighter yellow. It is absolutely stunning. This is an inner corner. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. We've got some really pretty neons in here. We have all these purples in here. We've got some neutral shades in here as well, but I adore this palette. I think it's beautiful. Now, this is not the original layout that it came in. I did see a video of, I think it was Brittany Huffman, rearranging hers, and so I kind of went back and watched and rearranged mine the same way just because I thought it looked so beautiful and I liked her thought process behind it. But this is a gorgeous palette. It has the wonderful Bella Beauty Bar formula. This whole thing is magnetic, obviously. You can move it around. You can pop in shadows from other Bella Beauty Bar palettes, create your own, things like that. But I love it. It's beautiful. They did such a good job with this palette. And yeah, I love it. And it's one that I think I would be happy keeping this one in my collection over some of the others. Alright, the last palette, number 10 of what I would keep in my collection. It was between this one and like 2 others, but ultimately this one won because of the variation of colors in it, and it is the Adept Seahorse palette. Now, I know what you're thinking. I always talk about how the formula of Adept is a little finicky on my eyes and it tends to crease, but I know how to work my way around it. I know what combination of eyeshadow primers to use in order to make them work, and I'm okay with it because once they're on the lid, they are stunning. But this is an all shimmer palette, and it has just beautiful, unique colors in it. You've got this lime green shimmer right here. This orange is absolutely beautiful. This shade, which is called Giraffe, has like the most beautiful like purple silver blue flip to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. The shades in here are so unique. These are just They're good, high quality shimmer shades. There's not a whole lot of their flakier textured ones in here, which is why I love it so much, but they're just so smooth and reflective and beautiful on the lid. And like I said, if you can figure out your combination of eyeshadow primers and get them to not crease, it's beautiful and I love it. I adore this palette. It was a little bit on the pricier side. It was a splurge. I did end up getting it on sale, but I have zero regrets. I was so glad that I picked this up because I thought about this one for the longest time, and I would be so sad if I didn't have this one in my collection, because it's absolutely one of my favorite all shimmer palettes. But between this one and this one right here, I feel like they go hand in hand. You can create so many different looks with them. You have a variety of shimmers, a variety of mattes. These were the first two that I thought of whenever I thought of what I needed to keep in my collection. This one and then two other shimmers, and then I had to kind of dwindle it down. But yeah, that is the 10 palettes that I would keep in my collection. So what do you think? What are your thoughts on what I would keep? What palettes would you keep from your collection? I want to know. Let me know down in the comment section. Let's light it up, have that conversation. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, most days, if not every day, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.